Hello, beautiful people. Today is 26th of April. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Guys, here we can see a wonderful quote from Bhagavad Gita. It says, detachment is not that you own nothing, detachment is that nothing owns you. Guys, Bhagavad Gita gives us the lesson of dharma, that is duty. No matter what, but duty is to be avoided first and foremost above all the given circumstances. And guys, that spirit can only come when the fear of abiding to undue patronage comes in front of your eyes. And guys, this happens to be the foremost quality of a civil servant, that he should not be moved by any undue pressure or by any undue patronage. So, guys, this is a very important quality for the civil servants and can directly be used in GS paper number 4, that is ethics qualities of a civil servant. Now, guys, let's begin with today's analysis. Guys, this is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and here's a small news item on the page number 1, according to which government is easing up the restrictions on the opening up of commercial activity. Now, guys, as per notification, all the shop in rural areas except which are into the mall could open, and into the urban areas, the neighborhood shops or the shops into the residential complexes could open, but the ones into the mall or market cannot open. Moreover, easing is given only to the goods, so therefore, service providers such as restaurants and barber shops can also not open. And guys, with respect to the e-commerce, they can only deliver the essential items. However, guys, states have shown a mixed response on this particular thing, and the majority of states want to continue with the containment. However, in this particular regard, the last decision will be of the state only. Friends, this particular thing, who is getting permission to open or not, is not important for the UPSC exam, to be very frank. But what is important to see here is that government is going towards the phase 2 in an epidemic, where the restrictions are lifted and gradually economy is kept back on the track. Because, guys, when the lockdown was imposed, a trade off was made between the human security and economic security, and we chose the human security, and the economic activities were shunted down. However, if for long the human security will have to be kept in place, the economic stability needs to be infused into the system. Therefore, the partial easing up is being given, and guys, gradually we will be expanding. And guys, now as the lockdown is being eased, government needs to be even more vigilant with respect to the testing and contact tracing, because there could be a possibility that certain of the asymptomatic carriers who were earlier confined into their houses could now come out in open and could spread the virus. And if this thing goes on to a little bit higher scale, then there could be the second wave of COVID-19 in India, which will have its own negative consequences. So these are certain things which are needed to be taken care of. So, guys, this was all. Now we'll move to the next news item. Now, guys, here's a news on page number 5, according to which now robots will be used into the hospitals to break the chain of COVID-19. Guys, this particular thing can be used as a passing reference in GS paper number 3 when you are writing the answer on indigenization of technology, or when you are suggesting the alternatives into the health sector. Now, friends, the robot which has been developed is the Karmi bot, and the functions that it can perform is such as dispensing food, medicines, collection of the trash which has been left behind. It can also arrange a video call between the doctor and the patient, can carry out the disinfection, and such other related stuffs. Now, friends, just keep in mind that India is facing a huge shortage of protective gear such as PPEs, masks, gloves, etc., due to which our frontline health workforce is sacrificing. And now, in this particular scenario, we can use these kind of robots which can help in relieving the burden of our health workforce. And guys, this thing can also be used into the places where the health workforce is very less and they are needed for much other complicated things. So, if you are writing an answer in GS paper 2 on health on this particular dimension, please mention their name. It will give a value addition. Now, as we are talking about using the robot, AIMS have also started using the robot, and they are using two robots, that is Milgro floor robot and other is Milagro humanoid robot. Guys, humanoid robot is just like it imitates a human being, and when we talk about human robot or humanoid, you might have heard the name of the Sophia humanoid robot. Guys, this particular robot was developed by Hong Kong, and it became the first robot into the world which was given the citizenship. It got the citizenship of Saudi Arabia. So, guys, this was all. Now we'll go to the next news. Now, guys, here's a news item on page number 6, according to which the MSME sector is on just the brink. First of all, we don't see the political news for our UPSC because they are not relevant. But by the help of this particular news, we will trace the entire MSME sector of India and the conditions we'll see of MSME sector, which will be very important when you are writing about the questions in GS paper number 3 mains examination economy, and can also be used into the prelims. First of all, guys, MSME stands for micro, small, and medium enterprises, and MSME is the backbone of Indian economy. Now, for this particular segment, we have Ministry of MSME, which is the apex body to see the functioning of MSME sector. Guys, the classification of MSME was originally given into the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development Act 2006, that is MSMED. Now, the MSME units could be of two types. They could be the manufacturing enterprises and they could be the service enterprises. Now, a question comes that how we will know who are micro, who are small, and who are medium. So that particular thing is seen on the basis of investment that is being made. Guys, micro enterprises are those where investment in plant and machinery is up to rupees 25 lakh. However, if it is 25 lakh to 5 crore, then it will be called as small, and if it is 5 crore to 10 crore, then it will be called as medium. Guys, into the land and buildings cost will not be considered into this. So this was the classification which was given by the MSME Development Act 2006. However, guys, MSME Development Amendment Bill 2018 was placed into the parliament to change the definition of the micro, small, as well as medium. Now, into this amendment bill, the criteria has been changed. Earlier, criteria was the investment, now, criteria will be the turnover. So, they say that if turnover is up to rupees 5 crore, it is micro. If it is between 5 crore to 75 crore, it is small. And if it is 75 crore to 250 crore, it is medium enterprise. Now, guys, certain things I want to make very clear, that this particular thing has not been liked by the MSME sector and they had criticized this particular move. And because of that particular thing, the bill has not been passed into the parliament. So please don't hold any confusion in your mind, though you will be finding this bill, but still the earlier definition is there. Now the bill has been lapsed and government is planning to bring a new bill which will include both the components of the investment as well as of the turnover. However, it will come. Now, guys, MSME is called as engine of growth in India. Why? I will give you certain facts. Please remember them and quote them in your GS paper number 3. First of all, MSME is the second largest employer in India after the agriculture, because agriculture employs nearly 55% population directly and indirectly. And when we talk about the 73rd NSSO data, then it says that approximately 11 crore people are given employment through the MSME sector. And when we talk about the contribution in GDP, then it contributes nearly 30% to Indian GDP. Guys, these datas are like it varies from 28 to 33, 34%, different surveys which you are taking. So please quote like approximately 30%. And then it contributes nearly 45% to the export earnings in India also. So very important. And when we are talking about the 5 trillion economy, MSME will be playing a very important role into this achievement. And according to the Confederation of Indian Industries, that is CII, contribution of MSME into the GDP will further increase and will be up to 50% by year 2024-25. Now, friends, as MSME sector holds so big dominance in Indian economy, and when the lockdown is going, obviously the MSME sector will be hitting because of this particular thing. And it is urgent requirement of the government to come out for the bailout package of MSME sector, otherwise it will destroyed. And if it goes out of the place, then so much of damage will be going to occur into the Indian economy. So what we can do in this particular respect? So friends, a ready-made answer have already been provided into the news item. We will refer to that, and whenever the suggestions are being asked, you can quote them directly. Guys, point number one, government should establish an MSME wage protection package. Now, don't refer the amount, but this wage protection package will be helping in giving the wages to the people into the case of lockdown. This particular thing, when the money will be going to the people, they will be raising the aggregate demand. Moreover, the morale also will improve into these people, which will be good for economy. Now the point number two, friends, due to lockdown, there is huge liquidity crunch as well as capital crunch into these industries. So therefore, government should introduce a credit guarantee fund, and out of this credit guarantee fund, liquidity and capital requirements of the MSME sector should be fulfilled. Then third point is that Reserve Bank of India should intervene and should nudge the banks that they provide the adequate loan to the MSME sector so that they don't starve of capital. Then comes the point number 4. Recently, Reserve Bank of India gave a moratorium on the loan repayment. Guys, this moratorium is given for the 3 months. Now it is being said that for the MSME sector, this moratorium should be extended for 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Moreover, some waiver or reduction into the taxes should also be given by the government. Guys, then we come to the fifth point, is that whenever you want to take a loan, you need to give a security, that is collateral. Now the amount of collateral is to be very high if you want to secure a loan, so that high collateral security should be reduced. Because of that particular thing, the MSME sector is not able to get the excess of loan. So what should be done? The high collateral security should be reduced so that easy availability of credit can also be ensured. So guys, these are certain points which should be done by the government. Guys, these points will be valid for upcoming months also, so please note it down into your notebooks. So guys, this was all. Now we'll move to the next news item. Now friends, here's a news item on Science and Tech page which says that for the first time, merger of two black holes with unequal masses have been observed. Now guys, first of all, we will look certain basic concepts to understand this particular thing, because many of you might not be having any background. Now guys, in order to understand the functioning of universe, various hypotheses or various models are taken help of. And in this direction, one such model was given by the Albert Einstein, which is called as space-time model. Now, usually when you see the universe or when you perceive the universe, you perceive it as a kind of a empty space. But no, it is not like this. According to Einstein, this entire universe is just kind of a fabric. Here you can see this thick fabric, and this fabric is made up of two things. One is space and other is time. And on this fabric, everything is just like it is kept on this fabric. For example, you can see that here is sun, here it is earth. So you, me, everything is just kept on this fabric. Now friends, let's understand the concept of gravity. Now guys, suppose on a bed sheet a glass of water is kept, and as you will come and sit on this bed sheet, what will happen? Obviously your mass is big, you will be exerting more of a kind of a pressure on this fabric, and due to this thing, the glass will fall towards your side. So guys, same way, there are different bigger mass bodies. They are exerting different pressure on this fabric. For example, this is the sun, it is exerting some pressure, and because of this pressure, the earth will be pulled towards the sun. And guys, this pulling force is nothing but the gravity. We know this thing that our body, if it is having more of a mass, then gravitational pull will be more. So guys, because the sun is having more mass, it is exerting more pressure onto this curvature, and because of this particular thing, earth is getting pulled towards the sun. So guys, this was one concept. Now understand one more thing. As it is a giant sheet, if there will be any activity in any of the part, then the impact will be felt into the other part. If it will be here, the impact will be felt here. Now guys, what happens when the black holes are merging? So this is entire space and time fabric. On this space and time fabric, there are two giant bodies. Fine, first of all, the information with respect to black hole is very much limited. But what we know is that black holes are entities where there is huge gravity, and gravity is so much that even light cannot escape from these black holes. So, what happens in mean course of time, two giant black holes come into the vicinity of each other, and as they come, they are rotating very very rapidly. And guys, in mean course of a time, a moment comes that they collide with each other, they merge with each other, and they become a big giant black hole. So guys, when this merging is happening, immense energy is being released, and it will create a kind of a ripple into this space and time curvature. And guys, these ripples are nothing but the gravitational waves, which will be scattered throughout the fabric of space and time. Guys, as I told you, if a activity will occur here, a disturbance will occur here, the impact will be felt at this particular point also. Now, our objective is to hear these vibrations, because by hearing these vibrations, if we follow it back, we can trace the origin, and a lot of information about universe could be explored. But the problem is this: these kind of vibrations cannot be heard or cannot be observed without any aid. So in this direction, LIGO project has been undertaken in US. And guys, for the first time in 2015, LIGO Observatory in US observed a kind of a gravitational wave. And that gravitational wave was of the merger of two black holes. Now, for the first time, though it was recorded in 2015, but that particular merger occurred approximately 1.3 billion years ago. And guys, it was so far that we are hearing it after 1.3 billion years later. Now, guys, what has happened into the present news item? Two new black holes have merged. And what is different this time is that they are non binary black. Now, friends, the black holes which we had registered, they were the binary. Binary means that the masses were equal. Now, these are non-binary, means that the two black holes have different masses. One black hole had the mass equivalent to 30 times the mass of the sun. Other had the mass that is only 8 times of the mass of the sun. So guys, because of this merger, what has happened? A different kind of signal, a different kind of waves have been registered, and they can provide much more data than what has been provided by the earlier mergers. So guys, this will open up a new possibility in tracing the origin of the universe. And guys, as I have told you that these activities have taken place into the past, this particular merger have occurred just about 2.5 billion light years away. So guys, a new possibility will be understood. Now, what exactly is happening behind these black holes? That thing is, even the scientists are searching answer of that particular thing. So guys, apart from this thing, there is nothing which you can derive from this article. So this basic information and what exactly happens. Now, friends, the project which is looking for the gravitational waves, the popular one in the US is called as LIGO, which stands for Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. Guys, there are two LIGO observatories in USA. One is Hanford, it is in Washington, and other is Livingston, it is in Louisiana. So there are two in US, and now the LIGO is establishing one more facility, and this will be the first facility which is outside the USA. And guys, the LIGO India, also called as Indigo or LIGO India, is being installed into the Hingoli in Maharashtra. So, guys, the collaboration is being done between the USA, UK, Australia, and Germany on the international front. And in India, it is the Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Space and Technology, which will be piloting the project, and apart from them, assistance will also be provided by the Indian research institutions, such as the number one will be the Institute of Plasma Research, which is in Gandhinagar. Then there is Inter University Center of Astronomy and Astrophysics, which is in Pune, and the third is the Raja Raman Center for Advanced Technology, Indore. So this is all about Indigo. Now, guys, though LIGO is the most powerful and most advanced, but there are some other also. For example, Geo in Germany, Virgo in Italy, Kagra in Japan. So, apart from LIGO, these are the major ones. Some other small ones are also there, but they are not that important. So, guys, this was all about this. Now, we'll move to the next news item. Now, guys, there is one more news onto the Science and Tech page, that is sewage surveillance can help to estimate the coronavirus spread into the community. Now, friends, an interesting exercise is being conducted into the Paris, where the sewage samples are being checked for the viral loads of the COVID-19. Now, guys, infected people, when they shed out their waste fecal material, with that fecal material they also shed out the strains of a virus which are there into the body. So, guys, if regularly the checking of the sewage waste could be carried, we can check out by seeing the emergence of the virus into the water, that what is the prevalence into the human beings. Now, guys, when the sewage surveillance was carried into the Paris, it was found that the viral load of virus into the water was equally proportionate to the infections into the population. Now, friends, what we can learn from this particular sewage study is that it can be very useful for countries such as India, where the testing capabilities have still not been that much ramped up. Or, guys, even when there we know that a large number of population is asymptomatic and they are not showing any signs, how to detect how many people are actually infected? Simply, we can take the sewage samples, and through the sewage sample, we can make out the numbers, and proportionately we can give the health response. Moreover, guys, it has been suggested into the article that the number of infection was directly proportional to the viral load into the water, and even the deaths into the Paris was also directly corresponding to the viral load that was into the water. So a very clear connection can be made. So, guys, this could be a kind of pooled testing which could be carried and can come very handy. Moreover, this is nothing new. Traditionally, many a number of times the sewage testing has been carried to identify the prevalence of polio, rotavirus, hepatitis E, typhoid, etc. But for coronavirus, it has not been carried. And, guys, not only it tells about the prevalence into the population, but it can also serve as an indicator. It has been said when the test was carried into the Paris, suddenly the viral load into the sewage increased before the deaths were spiked up. So it can give early warning, as if the viral load is increasing, government should give even more focus onto the healthcare facilities. Now, guys, if sewage testing is to be done, it could be carried in two ways. Number one, random samples from different sewages could be collected and they could be processed to find the strain of the coronavirus. Or secondly, at a single point where the city's sewage is treated, at that particular point, the samples could be taken and further the trends could be made out. So, guys, this thing holds a great promise for testing in India, as it can be a kind of a pooled testing which India needs urgently. Though it could not be a substitute of the regular testing, but if supplemented with the regular testing, then a much time needed response can be given. So, guys, all about this. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, here is one more article into the Science and Tech page, that is Stop Villainizing the Bats. Now, guys, as COVID 19 is increasing, people are showing a hatredness towards the bats, and in an attempt, they are killing the nests of the bat. Even just a few hours back, Amitabh Bachchan also tweeted that a bat entered into his room and he said that the coronavirus is not leaving him. And guys, on the same line, people are destroying the bat roosts and they are burning their hatchlings. Now, this is something which is very wrong, because first of all, it is not very clearly affirmed that the virus actually came from the bats, though it is also true that bats host large number of viruses and various deadly viruses have got their origin, but still the thing have not been cleared. Moreover, guys, bats, they perform an important ecological role, and the most important role in this direction is pollination, pest control, and they provide various intangible economic benefits also. Guys, moreover, India's history suggests that we have always been apprehensive to the bats. For example, in India, there are 128 species of bat which are found, and out of this, only two species are having any kind of a protection under the Wildlife Protection Act. And these two species are Salim Ali's fruit bat and Rotten's free-tailed bat. Apart from that, any bat is not having any protection. Now, guys, when we talk about the status on IUCN Red List, then Salim Ali has been given the status of endangered, whereas Rotten free-tailed birds has not been given any status. It has been described as data deficient. That it means that there is no enough data to give the status to this particular bat variety. Guys, please remember these two species, very important for your prelims exam. Now, guys, we'll move to the next article. Now, friends, the next article is why pathogens travel in search of host. Here we'll see that why the interaction between virus and humans are becoming more frequent into the recent times. Now, guys, as COVID-19 has proceeded, various conspiracy theories have also came. Friends, the theory was there that the COVID-19 is not originated into the bat, rather it is the result of a biological experiment that was conducted by China, and the China said that it was done by USA. However, guys, on the careful analysis of the strand of coronavirus, it was found that the coronavirus has a particular RNA structure which cannot practically be made into the labs. Therefore, it has a kind of a zoonotic connection, and definitely it has originated from the animals. Now, guys, when we talk about from which animal it has originated, there are two contenders. One is the pangolin and other is the bat. Now, pangolins are illegally imported from Malaysia into the markets of China, and in China there is also a big market of the bat. So, guys, there are the wet markets where the meat is sold, unprocessed meat is sold. So into the wet market of Wuhan, in either of these species, the origin could be traced, though there are the stories that it is a crossover of both the species also. Guys, this is not important, rather important is that it is of a zoonotic origin. Zoonotic means that the natural carrier was a animal, and from that natural carrier it came to the human, and human is just a kind of an accidental carrier and not the natural carrier. Now, one thing is more there. It has also been found that into the recent years, viruses are the ones which are unleashing the havoc on the human population, and bacteria, protozoa, fungi, they are not actually that much dangerous to the human beings as the virus are. So, number one, virus, and number two, originating from the animals. So, guys, it is nothing but a clear indication that the boundaries between the man and the animal has been breached of, and because of that particular thing, we are facing the bad consequences. And there are the examples also as how the zoonotic viruses have impacted the humans. For example, there is Nipah virus. Now, Nipah virus was linked to the pig farming and food production, fruit production in Malaysia. Then there was Japanese encephalitis. It was connected to the pig farming in Southeast Asia. Then there was Ebola virus. Ebola virus was also the result of deforestation and cutting of trees into Africa. Then we have example of SARS, which came from a civet and came to the human beings, and again the result was the wet market, that is unprocessed meat market. There could be more example. Take the example of Nipah virus, whose outbreak was seen into the Kerala. Then in that case also the virus traveled from the pig and the combination of a bat. Moreover, if we see the data into the article, about 60% of all infectious diseases into the human are of zoonotic nature, means they are coming from the animals. Fine, guys, we had seen enough number of evidences that they are rising into the animals, but a question comes that why they are impacting the humans now? Why such kind of havoc is being unleashed now? The simple reason is this: because the interaction between the human as well as animals is increasing so much that all the viruses or majority of the viruses which were earlier into the animals, now they are coming via a bridge into the humans. Now, how this bridge is being formed? Now, exactly what are these bridges? Guys, bridge number one is the livestock. We are so much dependent on the livestock for all the things, and many a times it happens that a particular virus infects our livestock, and from livestock's products it travels to the human beings. The same thing happens into the case of MERS, that was Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, where the disease, the virus came to the camel, and from camel it infected the animal. Second is because of the loss of landscape in which the animals used to inhabit. Guys, recently a large number of deforestation is occurring, due to which the human beings are encroaching the forest which were earlier reserved for the animals and their deadly viruses. Now, once the man reaches the territory of animals, the bridge is formed, and through bridge, these viruses come into the humans. Therefore, there is a need to maintain the ecological integrity. So, guys, ecological integrity means that we should not go into the territory which are reserved for the nature. Guys, even UNEP executive director says that it is the most ripe time or the most suitable time for a virus caused apocalypse. Why? Because this is the best time where the boundaries have been so much weakened that we are living into the vicinity of animals by the nick of a step. And secondly, the globalization has been expanded to such far limits that even if one case comes into some part of a world, it is bound to scatter into the entire world. So, guys, we need to maintain the ecological integrity, and urgent steps are needed to be taken. Guys, fine, we had seen the scope of animal, but what about plant caused viral infections? We had not even given a thought that the viral transmission can also be carried via the plants, and obviously seeing the response of the COVID-19, it is very much clear that if such a response comes from the side of plant, we are very much unprepared. So in this particular direction, government needs to take adequate steps, as how the quarantining, phytosanitary measures, etc., should be levied into our food standards or associated things. Moreover, guys, the only reason is this, that if the boundaries will not be made very much clear, then the problems are bound to come. Now, guys, in article, One Health initiative of the UNEP is mentioned. Now, One Health initiative is that all the stakeholders or all the different departments should come together and converge at a single point, so that such kind of laws and policies can be made which can give a better public health outcome. The food department, forest department, and other such departments should come together and should make such kind of policies that the zoonotic viruses can be kept at safe distance. Moreover, guys, not only the domestic policy makers as well as stakeholders, rather a kind of a global response is also needed to mitigate such kind of crisis into the present times as well as into the times to come. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, there is a news item that what are the concerns of the Arogya Setu app. Guys, this particular entire issue we had discussed into the newspaper of 21st of April. You can find a link above into the I button. If you want, you can see this entire discussion. We had already done this particular thing. But guys, don't go too much into the criticism of the government, because you can't outrightly criticize a government initiative if you are preparing for UPSC exam, where on anyhow you'll be working under the government. Now, friends, one note from my side. Right now, various rigorous policies are coming. For example, Donald Trump had suspended the visa for 60 days. So do you need to see these kind of things? Guys, my answer will be no, because first of all, in 60 days anyhow policy will be changed, so not important for your mains examination. Secondly, these things are more of a domestic concern and much more politicized, which are not usually asked into the UPSC exam. However, anyhow, I have provided the notes into the PDF. If you want, you can see that also, but not that much important for your exam point of view. With this, guys, we'll be winding up today's session, as now there are no UPSC relevant